Prelude, San Pedro Sula, Honduras, Christmas Eve 2004. Making its way along the dark, winding, potholed road between the suburbs of San Isidro and the Ebenezer, an old yellow passenger bus with standing room only inside, full of textile workers on their way home from Christmas shopping. Small children rocked and slept in their mothers' laps as the bus driver tried his best to negotiate the lurching vehicle around the street's grasping potholes and busted pavement. On the most deserted stretch of the road the bus traveled that night, alongside a dark, vacant soccer field, the driver was suddenly cut off by a small pickup truck coming in the opposite direction. It swerved and came to a stop, blocking both lanes. Two men with AK-47s hopped out the truck, while behind the bus, two other cars pulled up, blocking it from the rear. Several more armed men emerged from these vehicles. The bus driver and his fare collector could only hope it was a robbery by some gang moreros who could demand a tax, take all the money and valuables from their passengers, and let them go on their way. But even this was too much to hope for. The armed men did not make any demands. At once, they raised their weapons and began firing into the bus from all directions, the bullets penetrating and raking everyone inside with an estimated 800 rounds. Screams and cries of anguish, fear, and pain echoed inside the bus over the flash of din automatic guns. Women, children, and men trapped inside the vehicle wept and pled for mercy, gasping and dying in a sudden hellhole filled with gunpowder fumes and the coppery smell of fresh blood. The few passengers who could bolt out the rear emergency door and make a run for their lives were shot dead in their tracks. When the killers stopped firing, one of them, an MS-13 gang leader known as Puleche or Tapeworm, stepped onto the bus. He methodically made his way down the aisle, stepping over bleeding bodies, calmly poking and prodding the dead and dying. "Are you still alive?" he asked those who still moved or moaned. A question or complaint he followed up with a point-blank shot to the head and face. Described by U.S. law enforcement agencies as intelligent, articulate, and highly mobile, Guliche was approximately 30 years old, with a round face, darkened eyes, and large ears. Born in Honduras, he was an early member of the Normandy Locals, a Los Angeles-based clique of MS-13. He was arrested at least 8 times in California, accused of drug trafficking, aggravated assault, burglary, writing bad checks, and driving without a license. Guliche had a record of carrying fake IDs and using multiple cell phones, and had 38 known aliases, according to Honduran authorities and the FBI. When he finally stopped the slaughter and stepped back off the bus, 28 of its occupants were dead, including the driver and fare collector. The youngest murder victim was a 14-month-old child, and the oldest was a 68-year-old. Another 28 victims were seriously wounded, among them a 16-year-old factory worker who was shot 16 times, once for each year of his young life, like birthday candles from Satan himself. On the windshield of the bullet-ridden bus, Guliche and his band of MS-13 killers posted a note claiming responsibility for the attack. It was bogusly signed by the Cinchonero People's Liberation Movement, a group that had been active for more than a decade, not since the region's civil wars ended in 1992. The note warned Honduran authorities about similar repercussions if they passed a new law that would introduce the death penalty for violent crimes, a measure to bring the hammer down harder on gangs metastasizing in the country. Before driving away from the slaughter, the gunman attached a second note to the windshield of the bus. It read, "Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas."